such an honor for me to stand up here today for this class. You exemplify everything that Ryan just talked about. Talk about perseverance. Look what you have accomplished. You all are to be honored and celebrated for what you have done. I also want to say a special, special thank you to all the parents, relatives, extended families that trusted us through those years of COVID when we didn't even get to really know you. You left your children in our care, and you believed and trusted that it would be okay. And we came through, didn't we? Look at them today. So without further ado, I want to introduce your guest speaker today, Jeff Mendelsohn. That's what I say too. Jeff actually sat just where you are today in 2003. I had the pleasure of meeting him because my older son, Joshua, came to school in 2003, so their paths crossed for a brief period of time. But Jeff was always a dynamo on campus, bounced around the campus, even though these buildings were not here, but the land was, so he had plenty of room to bounce. And he's always been quite a force. I am so proud of the fact that he is here today. I want to give a big shout out to his mother, Faye, who is here with his sister, Greta, and nephew. His mother believed in us a long time ago, and we came through for her as well. Jeff has many interesting stories to tell. I want to share one because I think it's relevant to both the parents and the soon-to-be alums who are here and who we are celebrating. So Jeff was on the Board of Trustees from 2009 to when he decided it was time to start a family in 2018. And I got to know him very well during that period of time. On one occasion, fairly early on in his tenure on the board, we all attended a parent reception for the New York area families hosted by one of our alum families. And there were many, many people there. Among them was a gentleman who was the father of a current student at that time, and he happened to be an executive then at Forbes. Well, Dr. McDonald took one look at this scene, looked at Jeff across the room, and Jeff, by the way, had brought his fiancée, then fiancée Nicole, to meet us. So immediately they were introduced to this gentleman, and Jeff's history took off from there. I mean, he'll be able to tell you, but that introduction changed his life and ours, but really changed his life. And it is a reminder to all of you, something that we say from the very beginning. We are a family. Just because you're graduating here today, just because you parents are walking out, please do not stop being in touch with us. Attend activities. When we reach out, you reach back, or reach out first. We are a family, and we will be here forever for you. So with that, I want to very proudly introduce Jeff Mendelsohn.
Wow. Wow. There's a lot of people here, too. But thank you, Marilyn Waller, for that introduction. And it is truly an honor to be standing up here today. Thank you to my fellow trustees, distinguished faculty, honored guests, proud parents, alumni, my family, who's in the office, they're in the office. No, they're in the crowd as well. And most importantly, to the graduating class of 2024, let's give it up. It feels like yesterday that I stood up on this graduation podium, proudly wearing my Eagle Hill cap and gown. It's been 22 years since I graduated, which is mind-blowing. What's more mind-blowing is that I got invited back. The odds were way better that I would be invited here, likely in handcuffs, with the right to remain silent. I did not get here because I was a success story. I was given an opportunity of a lifetime. Despite my striving downward, someone had believed in me. No, not just my parents, but PJ and Erin Wynn. After Erin had given me the campus tour, she turned to us and brought us to PJ's office, where PJ had said something I had never heard. Jeff, if you come to Eagle Hill, you're going to succeed. No one had ever spoken to me like that before. Put it this way, when I asked my father his thoughts, his response was, well, Jeff, Eagle Hill is a lot better than prison. And you know what? It was. It really was. I spent the next 4 years at Eagle Hill growing up and learning it's never too late to change directions or make better choices. Eagle Hill has changed my life, helping me unbecome the person I was and become the person that I am today, and I am forever grateful for that. In the mid-'80s, very little was known about developmental challenges or learning and attention disorders, certainly as they related to academic achievement. ADHD was just becoming a thing. All we knew was that I was busy and I could not sit still to save my life. When it came to school, I was bored. And no, not just a little bored. I was fidgety, I was impulsive, I was worthy of that ADHD diagnosis, bored. Behave, follow instructions, sit with your hands neatly folded in your lap, I mean, yeah, okay. During my preschool graduation, which we still have on VHS tape, I started goofing off to see if I could make people laugh, and it turns out I was good at it. One of the teachers saw, but before she could pull me out of my graduation ceremony, my fight or flight reflex must have kicked in, and I took off, okay? I did a few 100-meter laps around the room with a final sprint out the back door exit. I was gone. But by fourth grade or so, I was full-blown out of control. Since there were no fidgets or sensory chairs, I started flipping my pencil through my fingertips to distract myself. And I was pretty good at it, until the pencil accidentally flew out of my hand, headed straight for Justin Klein's head, and sadly, it was the perfect bullseye. You know how your parents used to say, don't play with your pencil, you might poke someone's eye out? They were right. From age 4 to 14, life was really hard. I had very little confidence in my academic ability. I sat in multiple parent-teacher conferences and overheard the negative things the teachers would say about me. When you're a kid especially, and you hear adults say these kinds of things to you repeatedly, you start to believe it. At 15, I was 80 pounds overweight, depressed, and anxious. Learning was not easy for me. It was complex and it was challenging. I also lacked the maturity, the self-regulation, and basic coping skills needed to work things out. The struggle was real. One teacher was particularly rough. He was my fourth grade math teacher, Mr. Miller, and it went something like this. You'd be in class, and Mr. Miller would ask you a question. It did not matter if your hand was raised. He called on people randomly. You did your best to answer. Was Mr. Miller's classroom a safe and supportive environment? the kind that makes a kid want to volunteer answers right or wrong? Not even a little. Mistakes were the kiss of death. He never explained why your response might be incorrect or how you might rethink or rework the problem. When you gave a wrong answer, the response was, "I'll see you at 150. No good try or almost or hey, maybe next time. Just see you at 150 today, so that everyone could hear him. You know the character Miss Trenchbull in the movie Matilda? I know, I'm sure a lot of you have read that. The one who threatens to send kids to the chokey if they make a wrong move? Well, see you at 150 today was Mr. Miller's chokey. Do you know what he made me do that afternoon? I had to write, "I don't get it," 150 times on the chalkboard. To make matters worse, I had horrible handwriting back then, and he left my sentences on the board so everyone could see them the next day. I don't get it. Moments like this change a person. They just do. Here's what I want to say about failure, though. It is an inevitable part of growth and success. Everyone in this room, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to raise your hand if you've ever made a mistake. If someone isn't raising their hand, something's not being accurately true, so let's be honest. See? No one is alone here. Have you heard of a company called Etsy? Do you know before launching this site, its founder, Rob Kalin, failed every single class in high school? This guy has a net worth of $35 billion today. Did you know that Thomas Edison was expelled from school for being unteachable, quote unquote? Fortunately, like my mom, his mother believed in him and encouraged him to continue his education. Things didn't get better for Thomas Edison when he entered the workforce. He was fired from multiple jobs because of his lack of productivity. Even his first 1,000 attempts at getting the light bulb to work were failures. But despite his defeats, Edison was a prolific inventor who amassed over 1,000 patents, including the light bulb and the movie projector. And how about my former CEO, also my former boss, indirectly, Jeff Bezos? When Jeff started an e-commerce company out of his garage in Seattle, no one really knew about the internet. It was just becoming a thing. And according to market expectations, he had less than a 30% chance of Amazon making it. But Jeff created a culture at Amazon where failure is expected. The HR team at Amazon invests millions of dollars to help employees get over themselves when it happens. You follow these 5 steps, which are called working backwards. Here are the steps, more or less. Number 1, listen. This is about pausing and getting quiet to hear what you might be missing. Why didn't you get it right the first time? Number 2, define. Say it out loud. Define the challenge before you set a clear goal. Number 3, reinvent. Develop a new solution instead of staying stuck in what you've been doing. Heck, try hundreds of new solutions. Things are only impossible until you find another way. Number 4, refine it. Keep chipping away. Don't stop. Number 5, test and iterate. Now test this out. How's your strategy now? Does it work better? Did you solve the problem you intended to solve? If so, good for you. If not, work backwards and start again. Listen, I'm not saying everything will be easy for you or you won't have to face the unknowns, but don't fear them. Opportunities are in the dark. You just might have to crack open a window to see them better. Work backwards resonates strongly with me because it's a philosophy I learned at Eagle Hill. PJ, Aaron, and the rest of the teachers didn't focus on right or wrong answers per se. They focused on developing our way of thinking, our reasoning, and our communication skills. They taught me to ask more questions and to consider diverse perspectives. Always put yourself in another person's shoes, they said. Consider their point of view. They expected me to show up, to be accountable for my work, and to give credit for other people's ideas. They reminded me that for every challenge or crisis I encountered, there was always the reverse side, which is an opportunity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the start of my Eagle Hill turnaround. And if you can believe it, in my first year, I went from a 1.7 GPA to a 3.8 GPA. Oh, thanks. They helped me build the foundation I needed. It started with me doing my homework, keeping a planner, learning to study and prioritize. Most people assume these skills are intuitive in children, but they aren't always. I built them at Eagle Hill. Achievement was and is still a powerful motivator for me. And it was something I hadn't experienced before coming to Eagle Hill. I also discovered my drive and my ambition here. I learned to trust myself and, more importantly, value my self-worth. So with my Eagle Hill education, did I go on to do everything right? No, I did not. Let's see. I graduated from Eagle Hill. I thrived in college. I got hired immediately. And then I got fired from my first job, which was mortifying. Long story short, my Achilles heel was my ego. Since I graduated school, I assumed that it also meant I had graduated from having learning difficulties. I could not have been more wrong because you never outgrow them and you never graduate from them. At my first job, I didn't do what I learned at Eagle Hill or in college. And when my boss said, "Jeff, I just don't think you're cut out for this industry," suddenly, I was a fourth grader again who just didn't get it. Well, let me tell you something. Nothing had motivated me more to succeed. I saw failure as a fuel, and it became my secret weapon. Throughout my life and career, I've been inspired by my family, my teachers, my mentors, my bosses, my colleagues, and countless others. The following are some guiding principles they've shared with me that I now wish to share with you all. There is no one way to succeed, no magic formula. Think of this next stage of life like a bungee jump and just dare to leap. Whether you fly or faceplant, just pay attention and learn something from it. Approach situations with an open mind. Your attitude and integrity are everything. Follow through on what you say you're going to do and respond to it to other people promptly. It shows respect and responsibility. And don't just show up. Show up and work 3 times harder with a total commitment. Show respect to everyone you meet along the way. Today's assistant is tomorrow's CEO. Surround yourself with the right team. We can't do things alone, and this is true for work, marriage, and everything else. Seek out the people who challenge and improve you. Listen to your gut. Every single time, listen to your gut. If something feels wrong, there's a good chance it probably is. You know who you are. If you don't know who you are, go find yourself. The world needs you. But not everything is about you. Make a difference. Be a mentor if you can. lead by example, and then teach others what you know. Lastly, thank your parents, your family, your teachers, and everyone who got you to this place. Eagle Hill is not just any education. It's a gift, and you've been given the tools to meet your challenges and reach your greatest potential. There is a responsibility that naturally comes with all you've been given. Set an example for those who look up to you. Pave the way for the next generation. Give back to your community. There are no bounds to what can be achieved. You guys know that better than anyone. Class of 2024, go get 'em.
I'm going to give you a fake gift, but I'll go back and I'll get one other.
I have to honestly say that I think in my 27 years at Eagle Hill, this may be one of my most favorite moments. So thank you very much. So incredibly proud of you. So proud of you.
Thank you.
So just a little token of our appreciation to remember today.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
So nice, thank you.
Hold on.